Hey, everybody. Happy Monday. Really interesting discussion here with SkyFi, where information about our world is made easy. Tom, how are you?
Great. Thanks for having me on today. Appreciate it.
Well, thanks for joining. And I'm super excited about this chat because I've been following and using your service with great interest. And I think the viewers here are going to be super interested as well. So, why don't you give me a little bit about the story behind the creation of SkyFi and the inspiration there?
Sure. Thanks. Yeah. So SkyFi is an Earth observation marketplace. So we give people access to information about their world that they may have not had before. We're heavily focused on aerial imagery. So whether that's satellites, aerial planes, balloons, drones, and then in the future, we might be focusing on other kind of sensors you can access around the world. But our goal is to give people access to information that they didn't have before so that the geniuses of the world can solve more problems.
Well, that's quite a admirable goal. And your website, skyfi.com, is amazing, by the way. And these are all real pictures, of course. How do you achieve that? I mean, what are we looking at exactly? Clearly, satellite photographs, but
Yeah,
what's
so here we're
the
looking at,
platform behind it?
yeah, sorry about that today. So right here, we're looking at satellite imagery taken by high resolution satellites in low Earth orbit, or LEO. Um, we partner with companies that have access to satellites in space already. We don't own any of our own satellites, and we use their extra capacity to capture images of the world. So this is images of Central Park in New York City. But our network of satellites give you access to anywhere in the world to capture images just with a click of a button on your phone or web app.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. It's science and technology here. Um, so, how did you start out? I mean, this looks like magic, but of course, you've been at it for a while. What are the challenges of getting near real time satellite data into
Yeah,
the hands of everyone?
yeah, totally. So our founder, his name is Bill Perkins, and he teamed up with our CEO Luke Fisher. Bill is a hedge fund manager, and he trades energy, oil and gas specifically. And he was buying satellite imageries to monitor different places around the world, so he could trade on that information. So he was essentially accessing information that other traders didn't have, and then trading on that information with a competitive edge, knowing what's going on in the world. And he was having some serious trouble finding satellite providers that would give him access to their imagery. He always says he was walking around with a big check, trying to essentially spend a bunch of money on satellite imagery and couldn't figure it out. So he got really frustrated. He's a go-getter, and he said, "Screw this! I'm going to figure out how to do this on my own." So he created SkyFi, which allows anyone in the world, any trader, real estate, finance, oil and gas, whatever you're in, to access satellite imagery much easier than he was able to when we first started out. So we're about 2 years old now, coming up on 2 years. We've been able to release an app that provides you commercial data, and then soon in early August, we'll also give users access to open data, which is the free data already made available to a lot of people out there.
Wow, that's an amazing accomplishment in 2 short years. So, what were some of the challenges you kind of had to face simplifying access to Earth observatory imagery? I assume it wasn't as easy as just getting the app and putting in your address as it is now with SkyFi.
Absolutely, yeah. A lot of our biggest challenges are just easifying, a word that we use often, which is easifying. We took out the word democratizing, which is what we initially were calling what we're doing, because that's just kind of industry jargon that a lot of people are using across many industries. So we're easifying access. Some of the challenges that we deal with, one is kind of simplifying what used to be complex. So you're working with different sensors in space that have different resolutions. It's very complex technology. The current standard industry uses words that the average consumer wouldn't understand, especially when speaking about resolutions and the different technology on the satellite. So we've really worked on trying to create more accessible words and breaking down these industry jargons that people in the past have been using. So one of our biggest challenges is just simplifying the wording and the messaging so that audiences can understand what's going on. We're also working on partnering with everyone in the world that offers Earth observation imagery. So essentially creating this marketplace has been a challenge for us as we convince different providers to come on board with us. Another big challenge is licensing. So every satellite provider has their own kind of structure in terms of how they want to license the product. And we're working on simplifying that so that when a user checks out, they're not having to accept 10 or 20 different licensing agreements every time they want to purchase a new product. They accept one or two and they move on. So it's definitely a simplified process in many different ways.
That's incredible. So you mentioned oil and gas. That's an obvious use case with high impact ROI. What are some other examples of clients using your data to their business advantage? What kind of, looking at your Twitter feed, there's so many examples of users.
Yeah, absolutely.
What else do you see out there?
Yeah, so one thing I really love about SkyFi and Earth observation in general is that there are limitless use cases. So we do believe that there's a lot of use cases that we haven't discovered yet, and we're going to essentially open up access to this information and let people figure out how they can use it for themselves. What we're really seeing a lot of industries using our satellite imagery and other Earth observation imagery is real estate, construction, finance, so the trading side of it, but really anyone who wants to monitor something from above. So you can think about people who use drones. Let's say it's construction monitoring a site. They're checking in on updates of that structure. And you can also do that with satellite imagery now. So instead of sending a person out into a field and paying them to drive out there and do all that stuff, you can literally just open the app on your phone, task a satellite, go take a picture, and get a very similar resolution, a little bit lower than your drones, but good enough for construction. So construction, real estate, finance, those are some big ones. We're also seeing insurance. So you can think after a hailstorm, insurance companies will send someone out, similar thing, right? They're paying for them to drive out to a house and check on the roof. But you can do that with an app now, which is called SkyFi. So really cool use case there. And then one of my favorites is mining. So mining companies are tracking kind of their impact on the environment over time to make sure they're staying up with the standards and not hurting the environment too much.
That is fantastic. Tell us about some of the specifics around costs. I see people saying, "Oh, I got an image for $20." You know, what are the range of prices, affordability, and also how near real time are the images out of interest?
Yeah, great question. So we kind of have two different ways the images are priced. There's what we call existing images, which the industry used to call an archive. We thought archive was a little bit confusing, so we switched that over to what we call existing images. Those are images that have been taken in the past. So if I decide to task a satellite, which would be a new image, if I say I need a picture tomorrow of, let's say, Lawrence, Kansas, I can go take a picture of Lawrence, Kansas, snap the image. Now that image becomes an existing image. And so what would have cost me for the new image, $175 for that tasking, now costs me $20. So for the existing images, much cheaper, as low as $20. For a high-res existing image, you can get that for $35. And then you can also get new images, as I just mentioned. So if I wanted to get an image of, let's say, a construction site every month, and I knew I needed it on the first of the month, I could task a satellite to go take a picture of that on a reoccurring basis and get that image every month for $175. That price does go up based on the sensor and resolution, but it starts at $175. As I mentioned in early August, so in a couple of days here, we will be launching open data. So what that means is there are satellites primarily launched by the US government and then also the European Space Agency, ESA, that offer open source, open data. Essentially, it's open to anyone, and they can access it, whether it's through an API or a user interface. We're going to be adding that data to our platform, which will be completely free. So new users who are trying to learn, they can come in and play around with completely open data, free data. People who are already using open data, they can come in and have a much easier experience to acquire that data and put it into their workflow. It'll be very interesting.
So interesting. Can't wait to continue to look at interesting opportunities here. How do you see SkyFi, but the whole observation technology space evolving over the
Yeah,
next, years? What do you see your role in it being over time?
yeah. We are going to be, and we already are turning into the one-stop shop for all your Earth observation needs. So we've
Mm,
talked a lot about image acquisition on this call, which is getting the imagery. But a big part of Earth observation is analyzing that imagery and applying analytics to it to extract
mm,
information. So I'll give you a quick example. If you take a picture of a parking lot, let's say it's a Walmart structure, right? In the image, you can see the Walmart building and you can see a parking lot full of cars. Well, those cars in that image are data. If you can apply that to a machine learning object detection model, which we have on the SkyFi platform, and we'll be adding more of in the near future, you can count those cars, and day over day, you can say there's 30 cars today, 40 cars tomorrow, 20 cars the next day, and you can track patterns. You can do that with a bunch of different object detection machine learning algorithms. And then there's other algorithms as well. Another very common one that we have on our platform is called change detection. So you take a picture of one place on Earth, let's say it's a construction site, and over time, you can take another image. So you have two images now from the same location, different periods of time, and you can plug that into machine learning, and the machine will show you every single pixel that changed in that image over time. So whether it's for
wow.
disaster response, construction, or just personal use, you can track change over time with machines, and SkyFi is making that easier than ever. So to answer your original question of where we'll be in 5 to 10 years, we'll be answering questions about the Earth, hopefully in some type of LLM or easy
Mm.
model where you can just type in how many trees are in the Amazon today and figure that question out without seeing any images and just having the answers right at your fingertips.
That is amazing. Wow, it's a mic drop moment. But I'll continue on with the interview because there's still a couple questions left here. And how wide is the coverage? I mean, you must have some countries, municipalities, or others that might restrict usage. They're the DODs of the world. I'm sure aren't too happy with this technology. That must be an interesting minefield, no pun intended,
Yeah,
to
that
navigate.
is definitely one of our most common questions is where can we not take a picture of?
Mm,
But actually, our goal is to give people access to anywhere in the world. And so how we do that is we partner with different data providers from all over the world. So one provider may have restrictions in one part of the world, but other provider might not have a restriction there. So we're geographically diversifying our partnerships, and that gives us access to everyone in the world. So big questions, Area 51, can you access that? Yes. We can pretty much access anywhere in the world right now through multiple different satellite constellations. So satellites up in space right now. The only place we're struggling to access in the whole world are the poles. So North and South Pole, and that's mainly based on the orbiting patterns. So it's actually not because of any type of government restriction, but more because of the way the satellites orbit around the Earth. But yeah, right now, if you want to take pictures of maybe some conflict zones in Ukraine or something like that to catch up with what's going on in the world, you can do that. One thing I
wow.
haven't mentioned that's very interesting is synthetic aperture radar, which we also have on our platform thanks to Umbra. Are you familiar with this technology at all?
I am not.
Okay, so synthetic aperture radar, and Joe Morrison's gonna kill me if I screw this up. Who's an industry leader, but it is a technology that also uses satellites. It's a different type of sensor, so it's kind of a different lens, more or less, for the average consumer who doesn't know what a sensor is. But it sends off radar signals to the Earth, which bounce back, and the time it takes for those sensors to bounce back, with those differences, it's able to map out an image, but it's not a real image like optical, like what you're seeing with let's say your camera on your phone. It's black and white, but the cool part about it is you can see through clouds and you can capture these images at nighttime because it's a radar bouncing off the Earth. It has nothing to do with colors and the normal things we think about when we think about cameras. And so with this imagery, you can do what's called persistent monitoring, which means you can get an image of somewhere on Earth every single day. And when you're able to do that, you can really check out how things are changing over time. Whether it's a conflict area and you're saying, hey, these tanks moved 20 feet from yesterday to today, or they're gone and we don't know where they are, or you're looking at climate change and saying, day over day, we're seeing sea levels rising in these areas. So synthetic aperture radar, once you can really figure out how to make that easier for the consumer, it's going to be a game changer.
Game changer indeed. Well, so exciting for me and many others as individual users, and I imagine you have a lot of state governments, local governments, governments worldwide who could really use this in city planning, urban planning, and other practical ways. Wow, the world's really your oyster. What's next for you over the summer? Are you going to get some downtime, or are you, as a startup, kind of head to the grindstone, continuing to work away?
Yeah, I am. I'm taking vacation in a couple days, so I'll be taking some time off. But yeah, going back to the grind after that. I think a lot of people in Earth observation right now are feeling a lot of energy, and they're excited to work, and they're working together. That's another thing I love about this industry is it feels like every company is on the same team, because we're all working together to make Earth observation more accessible and available to everyone. Yeah, of course, there's different companies working towards the same goals, but a lot of partnerships going on between what would seem like competitors. We're all working together.
Well, congratulations on what you're doing, and I think it's so important for
Thanks a lot.
humanity. And best of luck, and thanks, viewers, for watching. Please spread the word. Download the app. Give it a try. I have, and it's fascinating. Thanks so much, Tom. I'll let you get back to your soon-to-be vacation, and thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Evan. Have a great day. Thanks for having me on.